Hi, everyone. This is Amanda from Google for Education, and I just wanted to let you guys know we're going to get started in just a few minutes. Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for joining. We're just waiting a few more minutes for folks to join us, and then we will get started. Thanks so much. And I just want to let you guys know, for those of you who are here now, my incredible colleague Kristen is backstage here, and you'll see her interacting with you guys on chat throughout this presentation. So I see many people have said hello and good morning, and feel free to say hello as well as ask questions throughout this presentation. We'll do our best to get to all the questions as we go, and we have plenty of time for Q&A at the end as well. So I'm just going to go on mute here for one more moment while we let a few more folks join, and then we'll get started. All right. Good morning, everyone. I see many of you have already started to do this, but I would love if we could just take a moment and introduce ourselves if you're comfortable sharing. So in the chat, if you wouldn't mind saying hello, where you're located, as well as what your role is in your school or district, we would love to get a good understanding of the different types of folks we have on this call and where they're located. And for those of you who just joined us, I mentioned just a moment ago that my colleague Kristen is backstage, and she'll be helping us throughout this presentation by answering your questions throughout the chat, as well as helping me with the Q&A at the end. Okay, and for those who missed it in the beginning, I said, hi, I'm Amanda Del Balso. I am one of the program managers on the Google for Education team, and I am leading this certified coach program that we launched just earlier this week on Tuesday. So while you guys introduce yourselves, I did want to let you know that today's session will be recorded and made available afterwards. So for those of you who would want to pass this along to others, that will definitely be possible. And then also on the bottom right of this slide, you'll see our website, which Kristen can also send through the chat. But that website is another awesome resource that has all of the information that will be covered today and more. So if there's one link that I would recommend bookmarking today, it would be that link in the bottom right. Okay, I am going to get started. And again, feel free to ask questions throughout, and know that we have plenty of time for Q&A at the end. So what are we going to cover in this info session? And again, thank you and welcome. Hopefully I'll be preaching to the choir in this first part here, where I'm going to talk about the importance of coaching and why we at Google for Education are so excited to launch this new program to support all of the incredible instructional coaches out there. In the second portion of the presentation, we'll dive more deeply into the certified coach program itself, and we'll cover things like what's included in the program, how to get certified, how to get started with the 50 lesson curriculum that we've put together, which is all about helping coaches improve and hone their practice, and more. And then hopefully, very excitingly, we'll also cover what are the benefits for coaches as well as their schools and districts for actually going ahead and getting this new certification. And finally, at the very end, and in fact throughout the presentation, I'll also be covering different tips to get started with this program, to prepare a really strong application, and to really just put the resources that we've put together for you to the best possible use. Okay, great. So before I jump again into the certified coach program very deeply, I did want to just take a moment to orient you around sort of where this program fits in within the greater portfolio of things that our team does to really support teachers. And hopefully what this slide demonstrates is that really our goal is to create different programs and resources and tools that help meet all educators wherever they are in their journey to really be using tools and technology to improve classroom instruction and to use technology powerfully for all sorts of teaching and learning experiences. So I just want to take a quick note that on the left, I believe many of you are familiar. Oh, okay. Sorry about that. We had a little bit of a lag. Okay, so on the left, we see the Teacher Center, and that's really a place many of you probably know where there's lots of different trainings. And if you're a teacher or an educator, or if you know a teacher or an educator who's looking to get help with a particular tool or a particular skill, that's a great place to get a one-off type of training. For example, when COVID started happening, we launched a new distance learning unit that had a number of different lessons around things like how to build an online classroom using Google Meet, how to incorporate SEL into your virtual classroom design. And that was a really popular course that we saw tons of educators jump in and take, and then put that into practice right away, given the circumstances. Now, in this second category here, you'll see our L1 and hopefully many folks on this hang out live stream rather. Hi, everyone. Sorry about that. Can you hear me now? All right. Sorry about that. Work from home troubles. Can everyone hear me now? Okay, excellent. So I think I lost you around the time we were talking about L1 and L2 certification. And I started to say that on this call, hopefully many of you are in fact already L1 and L2 certified, but this is really a great opportunity for teachers and educators who want to show their product expertise to go ahead and show those skills and get certified. And then we have this third category here around educating and inspiring others. And our trainer program, which I know many folks on this call are already trainers, and our innovator program, and now our new coach program are all programs where we are really hoping that educators will take their own skills and their knowledge and share and inspire others. Great, and thank you for the thumbs up. Never fun to have technical difficulties during a live stream, but I appreciate you guys bearing with us. Okay, so without further ado, let's start talking about the Google Certified Coach Program. So the program is really all about equipping instructional coaches to work one-on-one with educators, typically classroom teachers, to tackle classroom challenges or classroom goals with technology-based strategies. And we know that the word coach can mean many different things to many different people. So when we say instructional coaches, we are talking about folks who are working in their school buildings or in their school districts, the majority of the time focusing on one-on-one interactions with teachers. So our research has showed that it's really incredibly important for coaches to have an ample amount of time to be meeting with teachers, understanding their goals and challenges, and helping them to implement different types of solutions. And that's why we say here that we really recommend that coaches are able to spend 70% or more of their school day doing those types of activities and not getting pulled into one of the many, many, many other duties that will be important to happen in your school. And I see a couple questions coming through around, are we able to share this? Yes, please feel free to share. We just launched the program on Tuesday, so we are very excited to start getting the word out. All right, so why is coaching important? Again, hopefully you're here today because you're interested and excited about coaching or have been doing this for a while. But here are some of the things that we love to say about coaching and why it's so impactful. So what we know is that coaching is a really strong and excellent way to really see changes and adaptations in teacher practice. It's a really powerful form of PD to, in fact, transform what the teacher is doing day to day. We also know that when educators are coached, they wind up teaching more courses with technology, which is excellent, but not only that they use more technology, but that they use it in really powerful and meaningful ways. So we've seen, for example, what we call impactful technology use, which refers to things like student collaboration, creativity, agency, and things like that. Okay. And I, again, am probably preaching to the choir here, but what we have seen is that coaches are really more important than ever now as they are navigating COVID and distance learning and remote models and hybrid models and just back to school in general. There is quite a bit going on. And I'll ask Kristen if she can send this link through the chat. But one article that I did want to share with you that Digital Promise, who is a nonprofit organization that does some excellent research around coaching, recently published, is this article here at the bottom left. And they really talk about the personalized nature of coaching being so important as we navigate this remote learning time. They talk about how coaches really understand the different school and district goals that need to keep happening during this time. So I really encourage you to check that out and hopefully feel inspired by that as well. So now getting into some pieces about why we invented this program and why we're excited to bring it to you. We noticed that although coaches are so important, they really deserve and need more support, and that it has been difficult for coaches to really find tools that are specifically dedicated to how they can hone their own practice and deepen their own expertise in the same way or in a similar way that they are working one-on-one with teachers to help teachers improve. So what we did over the past 3 years, and Kristen and I were lucky enough to lead this program together, is we hosted a pilot called the Dynamic Learning Project, or DLP for short. And really that pilot was where we tested things like the 5-step model that you'll see reflected in our online curriculum, as well as many other different lessons and strategies that were all about how we can equip both new and veteran coaches to feel more empowered, to feel more supported, and to continue honing their practice. So that all led to the Certified Coach program. And again, I talked about this earlier, but really the goal of the program is to empower both those new as well as existing instructional coaches to drive impactful technology use in their schools. And I'll be deep diving these resources in just a moment, but the two kind of core elements that we are providing in order to do that are a structured year-long curriculum. It's about 50 lessons long, as well as a research-based 5-step coaching model. And again, whenever we talk about the program, we do always love to talk about our definition of coaching that I did mention earlier, which is really that all of this is going towards helping coaches work one-on-one with teachers to tackle different challenges and goals with technology-based strategies. Okay, so here's that deep dive into the curriculum and model that I was talking about. So a little bit more about this tailored curriculum. As I mentioned, it is available now, and I'll ask Kristen if she can send that link through the chat. But it is really meant to grow with the coach throughout the school year. So I know we have many folks from all over the world. For the sake of this example, let's assume that we're in North America, where school years typically start in the August-September timeframe. We therefore have a number of modules that we would encourage a coach to take over the summer so that they can be putting, for example, our 5-step coaching model into practice come September. Then there's a whole nother series of modules that's designed to be completed throughout the beginning of the school year when you are doing things like figuring out which teachers you're going to work with first, which we call a coaching roster. Then towards the middle of the year, there's a number of modules that help you reflect on, how things are going in your school. Are you feeling like coaching is really aligned with your school or your district goals? Are you feeling like you're collecting enough data to really understand your impact as a coach and how you can iterate? And then towards the end of the school year, there are a series of modules that help you really reflect on how your coaching experience went, on how things have changed in your school, how to share that with the different stakeholders in your school that support the coaching program, and then how to prepare for next year. And I love this quote from one of our dynamic learning project pilot coaches, Rachel, on the right, where she really talks about the coaching model and the curriculum that contains it as really lending itself to help have rich and meaningful experiences between teachers and coaches. And I always do love to highlight that really this is a very individualized, non-evaluative type of approach that we recommend. And so hopefully that will be something that encourages the teachers at your school, as it did at Rachel's school, to feel comfortable trying something new, taking some new risks, and to feel really supported to do that. Great, so here are just a couple of more things about the curriculum, as well as a short bit.ly link here, which you're welcome to bookmark so that you can get to this easily after this presentation. And I talked through much of this on our last slide, but I did just want to show you the particular sections of the curriculum that you'll find. So again, we really start talking about this challenge-based coaching model. We talk about how to build a strong coaching team and as well as culture, how to cultivate really effective relationships between coaches and teachers, refine your coaching strategies and the toolkit that you have to use that, celebrate and advancing successes throughout the years. And then finally, something I did not mention on our last slide is that we have an optional book study that's based on a book by Jenny Magira called Courageous Adventures. And much of the content of that book really reinforces different elements that are touched on in the coaching curriculum. Great. And I see some questions about the links. The bit.ly link for the curriculum is down here in the left-hand corner. And the links will also be on our website. And I have a slide at the very last presentation here to make sure that you guys can bookmark all those links one more time. Okay, and so we just talked quite a bit about the curriculum and the model. And another question that we often get is, what types of classroom challenges and goals do coaches typically tackle? And for those of you who are coaches on this call, you probably know that the types of things that you work on with your teachers really runs the gamut. But really here, I did want to just show you some of the common topics that we've seen coaches work with and be able to really use our resources to support. So those included things like planning and preparation, assessments, differentiation for students, collaboration, classroom management, especially lately, how to do things like, take attendance virtually, creativity and innovation, family engagement, and staying in touch with those parents and guardians of your students, as well as content support. And by that we mean, what are some new and interesting ways that we can help with different types of lessons that a teacher has for their specific class. So here is, again, that link for the curriculum that I mentioned. And I'll just flip over here quickly to actually show it to you so that you can take a look. When you click on that link, here is our curriculum. And one thing that I did want to point out is that the curriculum is available for everyone to get started with now. You don't need to apply in order to get access to our curriculum. That is right here. And you would want to apply for the coach certification after you actually completed this entire curriculum. In other words, went through all of the modules, as well as met some of the other application requirements that I'll talk about in a second. So again, here's the curriculum, and you can see those sections that we talked about earlier, and it's available and ready for you guys to get started with now. And there are, again, those 3 sections here, 1, 2, and 3, that we would really recommend you guys adding to your summer PD list and making sure that you get started with before this upcoming school year. So for those of you asking, here is that bit.ly link one more time. Okay. So now that we've talked about the curriculum and the 5-step model, I did want to give you guys an overview of the process to get certified. And so I saw a couple questions about this in the chat, but one prerequisite for this program is that you will need to have a current L1 and L2 certification in order to successfully apply for the coach program. So please make sure that you have that, or you brush up on it if you've done it before and it has since expired. Now, the L1 and the L2 certifications do have a fee associated with them, but all of the other elements that I am going to start talking about now that directly pertain to coaching are free. So in order to get certified, there are really 4 key steps that you'll want to take. The first thing, as I've mentioned, is that you'll want to hop into the curriculum and go through all of those different modules that are really designed to help both our new as well as our existing coaches really refine their practice and get more supported, as well as learn how to adopt that 5-step coaching model, which is all about how you can really effectively work one-on-one with your teachers. Now, something to note is that while all of the curriculum is available now, we do encourage you to really take your time doing that throughout the school year, and know that there is no cap on the number of people that we can certify for this program, and applications are accepted on a rolling basis. So again, don't feel rushed, like you need to, do this weekend and then apply. Feel free to really take your time in mastering those concepts. Now, once you do get through the curriculum and master those concepts, which will take you about 15 to 20 total hours, there is what we call a coach skills assessment. You can think of it like a final exam that's at the end of the curriculum. And that's about a 50 or so question exam that really just helps to show your mastery of the concepts in the curriculum. So you would need to pass that. So that's over here in step 1. Now, in step 2, the second part of your application is about preparing something that we call a portfolio. And this is really a place where you get to showcase all of the wonderful things that you've put into practice based on the new concepts that you've learned. So that includes a short 3 to 5 minute video where if I was a coach, I would say something like, hey, I'm Coach Amanda. I worked with teacher Kristen on tackling a classroom goal or challenge that was XYZ. And I would then use that example of my interaction with Kristen to talk through how I used each of the 5 steps in the coaching model to help address that goal or strategy. And then the second portion of the curriculum, we ask for what we've called 3 coaching artifacts. And these are described in great detail in a specific module of the curriculum that is about preparing for certification. But essentially, what those 3 artifacts are designed to do is to provide an opportunity for you to share what we call a bright spot or an example story, success story of you working with a teacher. It also is an opportunity for you to share a data or a data-based insight around something that you've collected or observed from doing coaching and how you've had impact on your schools. And the last piece is an artifact that helps to show how you've organized interacting with teachers. It's, for example, something like a coaching roster or meeting notes or things like that. So again, there are probably some questions about those artifacts, and I would really encourage you to check out the specific module in the curriculum that really goes through each of those with a fine-tooth comb and provides various examples for you as well. And here you'll see that I put something here called 2 or more coaching cycles. Really, it would take you at least several weeks of doing coaching and putting the modules into practice to be able to collect those artifacts. So again, please make sure that you're not feeling rushed and taking your time to really gather those materials. And then the last piece here is a letter of reference from an administrator. So what we've seen is that coaches really feel more empowered, less stressed, and in general just feel and do better when they are supported by their building and district leaders. So this letter of reference is really an opportunity to make sure that there is an administrator in your building or in your district who is aware and supportive of your coaching work and can really speak to that. And we've had a couple of questions around, what exact time period that should reflect. And really, we want the administrator letter of reference to reflect your coaching and specifically your coaching as you've been putting the model and the curriculum into practice. And then the last piece would be to put this all together and actually put it in the application, which I will show you here. So what I did want to note is that the application is live now. So if you want to kind of check it out in order to get an even better understanding of what this looks like, it is linked from our website. And you'll see here that at the top, it has these same instructions that I just went over around what is in the application and what will be asked for. And then here is where we collect all of the different pieces of information that I just went through here on the slide. Great. Okay, so now that we've talked about the application, I am going to, here we go, show you this bit.ly link. So again, as there was a bit.ly link associated with the curriculum, here is the bit.ly link with the application as well. Okay, so again, just to wrap up with some of the tips, many of these I did mention throughout the presentation, but just to recap, you will need to have a current L1 and L2 certification in order to apply. So please make sure that you either complete that or go ahead and grab a screenshot of that. We really encourage you to, again, do the curriculum throughout the school year. And I wanted to just give you a tip that there are these, what we call make it stick questions. They're kind of like quiz questions that appear throughout the curriculum and really help you to make sure that you are understanding all of the different pieces and reinforcing key concepts before you get to this section here, which is the coach skills assessment. And then on the right-hand side of the screen, you'll see some tips that I just covered around putting together that 3-minute video and really making sure that you're specific in that video to cite a challenge that you helped a teacher tackle or a goal that you helped that teacher achieve, as well as the specific actions based on the 5-step coaching model that you took. Here is those artifacts that I mentioned are described in much more detail in the curriculum, as well as that letter of reference. And so hopefully most of the most exciting part here is about then the benefits of becoming a certified coach. So once you would go ahead and submit your application and hopefully get certified, here are some of the things you can expect. So first and foremost, there's a badge that you will get in order to recognize your certification, and we encourage you to put that in your email signature. You will also become part of a coaching community where we will share best practices and support with each other. And you'll become visible as a coaching expert in our Google for Education directory as well. That's a new expert type that we've added to our Google for Education directory just for this program. And then we also will be doing professional development events that are designed to support our coaching community. So I see some questions here from some folks who are trainers already. And for the trainer community, we do something similar where there are different professional development events that support that community. So this would look similar, except that we would really focus on how we can support the types of activities that are more specific to coaching. And then as with many of our other programs, we will, like the Innovator and the Trainer programs, we will also provide you with some what we call first look updates and opportunities that our team as a whole is really working on. Great. And shortly, I'm going to turn it over to Kristen to talk about our EDU activity app. But before I get there, I did just want to let you know that we've also heard from coaches that while the curriculum and the model and the fact that that is all open and available and free is excellent, that there are some schools or districts and coaches who really would like extra help even beyond that. And so we've established partnerships with these organizations that you see on this slide, and we call them our recommended coaching partners. And what these organizations have is a lot of professional development expertise and folks that we call mentors. You can kind of think of them like super coaches, and their role would be to work with the coaches to help them overcome any challenges that they may be having, work through some tough situations, to make sure that they are supporting you through the curriculum, all sorts of activities like that. So again, this would be a mentor working with the coach. And this is a completely optional part of the program, but again, wanted to make this type of more hands-on support available to you guys. So if you want to learn more about what these organizations do, you can check them out on our website. And just to be clear, this is something that your school, your district, or the coach, this is a part that would need to be paid for. Okay, so the last part of this section is really just to wrap up in a way that we articulate the benefits of coaching and this program for the entire school community. So at this point, we've talked quite a bit about the number of ways that we hope to support both new and veteran coaches. And we also just wanted to recognize that this program is also really designed to support your teachers, because we know that teachers who are coached are often less stressed and really just get to experience this renewed love for teaching. On the student side of things, we know that coaching leads to that greater technology use that I saw in the beginning, but really in a way that drives better engagement and helps those students build skills. And then on the last piece here around coaching culture, we know that coaching really helps to catalyze partnerships between not only the coached teachers, but really all teachers in the school to be more innovative and collaborative. So with that, I'm going to bring Kristen onto the screen here to talk a bit about how to maintain certification. You can.
Hi, everyone. So I have been feverishly responding to your questions in the chat. but wanted to spend a little bit of time talking about how you can maintain your Google for Education certified coach status after you've received the certification. So the real goal of the certified coach program is to help you work one-on-one with teachers using the Google for Education certified coach model. So in order to maintain your certification, we ask that you continue coaching teachers one-on-one using our 5-step model. So to indicate that you are doing that, we're asking certified coaches to log 100 hours of coaching in the EDU activity app. Amanda, if you'll move forward one. So for those of you that are Google certified trainers or Google certified innovators, you should be familiar with the EDU activity app. But it's a place where all of our certified educators can go to track the activities that they need to do to maintain certifications. So for trainers, you're familiar that you track 12 or more training events in the EDU activity app per year to maintain certification. For coaches, we'll be asking you to track 100 or more one-on-one coaching hours. So for clarification, those will be tracked as hours coached per teacher. And it will capture the teacher challenge because, again, the core of the Google for Education Certified Coaching Program is working with a teacher to identify his or her personal classroom challenge, helping to brainstorm strategies that they can utilize to tackle that challenge, implementing that strategy, and then helping reflect at the end. So all of this is meant to really capture the hours that you've spent working one-on-one using that Google Certified Coach model. Next slide. So this is primarily for those of you that are already members of the the EDU activity app. So that's the innovators and the trainer community. But when you get your Google for Education certified coach badge, you'll have a new place in the EDU activity app to specifically track those one-on-one coaching hours. So you can either add coaching hours for an individual teacher that you've worked with, or upload a CSV that aggregates the hours that you've worked with across multiple teachers. And then on the next slide, you'll see that as we track the various hours and events that you have entered into the EDU activity app, there's a new place now that's tracking those individual one-on-one coaching hours, in addition to the training events that you might enter as a Google certified trainer or the activities that you've added as a Google certified innovator. I think that's it for me, Amanda.
Great, thanks, Kristen. Okay, so we're gonna move to the Q&A portion in just a moment, and I'll bring Kristen back on. But I did just want to, again, highlight a couple of ways to get started. So I saw several of you comment that you've already checked out the curriculum, and many of you have already even started going through the modules, which is excellent. That is certainly what we recommend doing, especially over the summer while you're doing different things on your PD list. Then, as Kristen mentioned, really the 5-step coaching model is sort of the crux of this program and much of the curriculum. So we're really excited to hear about how you're able to put this into practice as you return to school, no matter whether that would be virtual, in person, or some combination. And as you are therefore then, completing the curriculum and gathering your portfolio materials, that's something we really encourage you to do through the early part of the school year. And then again, all of that is really working towards this application process, which we would recommend really starting no sooner than you've completed what we call 2 or more coaching cycles. All right. So I'm going to stay on this slide here, which has our key links while we go through the Q&A. And the one piece I did want to acknowledge before that is that if there are any questions that either you think of after this session or perhaps you don't get answered here because we accidentally missed them, feel free to email us here at this email alias, and we will get back to you. I will just also make one note that because this program launched on Tuesday and we've seen a ton of interest, we are a little behind on our emails. So please be patient with us. We will get to you, I promise. But it might not be as quick as we normally are as we do our very best to get through that inbox. So I'm going to bring Kristen back on while we answer a number of your questions. Welcome back, Kristen.
Hi, thank you, Amanda. So there have been a lot of questions flowing through the chat, but one that came up that I think would be worth clarifying is whether or not you recommend having a trainer certification, or if you're required to have a trainer certification in order to apply for the Google Certified Coach program, because the thought is that the programs really seem to complement one another.
Yeah, absolutely. And hi, trainers on the call. We did an info session also yesterday with some of the trainers that may join, and it was really wonderful to get to see that group. And they asked a similar question. So I think there are two things. So in terms of the requirements for being a coach, it is certainly not required that you are already a certified trainer in order to become a certified coach. However, we do know that many members of our trainer community are not only acting as trainers, but are also, in fact, instructional coaches or coaches. So in that way, we certainly are excited to really try to welcome and encourage those types of trainers who are also coaches or acting as coaches in their school to apply for this additional program. And it is very much possible for you to both be a trainer and a coach in that way. So again, would love for you guys to feel like you can have both of those badges and would really want to encourage that. And I did see a great question. I think it was from John earlier in the chat, just to kind of clarify the difference, if you will, between the trainer and the coach programs. So I can cover that right now as well. And I would say both of the programs are similar in that they are really designed to help educators who are enthusiastic about Google tools and technology, as well as just helping teachers in general to really share and evangelize that with their fellow educators. Now, where it differs is in the types of activities that we would expect to be core to each of those programs. So for the trainers, we think that that program is really best suited for folks that are typically teaching or sharing their knowledge in what we would call a one-to-many or sort of a group-oriented professional development type of session. And typically those sessions are also mostly focused on a single set of tools or skills. Now, as Kristen mentioned, the coach program differs because really what the curriculum focuses on and what the program is really trying to provide expertise in doing is working very consistently. In other words, like the majority of someone's time, one-on-one rather than one-to-many with educators in your school. And so I would say the coach program does feel a little bit more niche in that the expectation is that you're an educator who does have the ability to really be working one-on-one with those teachers for a significant amount of time. And that would be, again, an activity that you're doing where it's the focus is working with a teacher to tackle a specific goal or challenge that they have and working through that 5-step coaching model in order to do that.
Thanks, Amanda. And yeah, there were a lot of questions that came through around that 100 hours requirement in order to maintain certification. And as Amanda mentioned, the reason we have that 100 hours requirement is that we really want the Google Certified Coach designation to be for individuals that spend the majority of their time or a lot of their time working one-to-one with educators. That being said, the curriculum offers a lot of tips and tricks and skills that people can use, even if you're just working one-to-one with teachers, every few weeks or something that's kind of in addition to your full-time job as an educator. But the Google Certified Coach designation will apply to the people who can continue to have 100 hours per year working one-on-one with teachers.
Absolutely. And I think a couple of folks mentioned that earlier, but that is also why we absolutely wanted to make sure that the curriculum is available to everyone. So you, again, do not have to apply in order to go ahead and benefit from the curriculum.
And Amanda, there were a couple of questions that came through around what kind of technology a Google Certified Coach should focus on, whether or not it's something that is primarily for teachers that are working on Google tools, ed tech tools, or just coaching in general.
Yeah, absolutely. So certainly you do not have to only be using Google or Google for Education tools and technology really in order to become certified, in order to benefit from the curriculum, really the core of the curriculum is the 5-step coaching model, and really focuses on how you can use that model to have very effective interactions with teachers and to help them to solve the goals and the challenges that they have with a technology-based solution. But again, when we say technology-based, because we also know that coaches will have interactions with teachers where maybe the teacher is not into technology, and you're just trying to build a relationship with that person and help them be open to different ways of improving their practice. So we don't require, for example, that every single interaction that you have with a teacher would be about technology. And we also don't require that it is about Google tools in particular. But we do expect that over time, you will feel more comfortable doing that as the teachers in your school hopefully feel more open to that. And really, ultimately, we are working towards a coaching program that does have technology incorporated into it. Kristen, would you add anything there?
No, I think that's great. And a lot of this is covered in our curriculum as well. So definitely, take a dive into that and start seeing how we position the coaching model. But the goal of the program is to help teachers use technology more meaningfully with their students. But we fully recognize that as coaches, whenever you're working to address a teacher's individualized classroom challenge, sometimes the solution might not be tech-based, but you still want to help them with that challenge, go for it. Or other times you might have a teacher that's a little reluctant to participate in coaching at all. And in order to build that relationship, maybe the thing that you're working and helping them with is also not a tech-based solution. So while the end goal is to help teachers use technology more meaningfully, there's oftentimes going to be relationships that you have that are not focused on tech.
Absolutely. And I saw a couple questions come in, and also a comment from Dr. Karen Jackson, who said the coaching should be teacher-led. That's exactly right. That's why we always try to start with what is the specific thing that the teacher wants to achieve or wants to figure out how to do better. So agree with you on that. And then I saw a couple of questions about, can we only coach educators in our school or in our district, or can that be wider? And as Kristen mentioned, certainly we know coaching in general happens in many forms, right? So we don't want the skills that are in the curriculum are certainly not restricted to only being able to work with educators in your school or in your district, but really the certification is designed for those folks who are embedded within their school or in their district, or even a company, for example, who is helping to embed their own coaches in schools or district, and are really focused on those activities day in, day out.
Great. And then there are some questions that are coming in with respect to tracking hours that I wanted to address. All of this is covered in more depth in the certified coach curriculum, but we really recommend working with coaches on a cycle. So you'll be working with a subset of teachers for a set amount of time and meeting with them multiple times a week, or every week as needed during that coaching cycle. So when it comes time to logging your 100 hours, we kind of recommend wait until the end of the cycle, list out the teachers you've worked with and the number of hours that you've worked with them, and upload those in general to the EDU Activity app. So it's not meant to be that like every day you sit there and log your hours per day. You can do it at the end of a coaching cycle. So what that ends up looking like is that if you want to get your 100 hours, as Grant Gallagher mentioned, it could be that you've worked with 10 teachers and you coach them 10 hours over the course of a few weeks, and there you've hit your 100 hours. So it's much less about hour here, hour there, hour here, hour there, and more about working with a set group of teachers, using the coaching model and accruing hours with that group before the coaching cycle ends.
Absolutely. And Kristen, I didn't see this question come through from this group, but one of the questions we got through yesterday was, over what period of time would we expect to see those 100 hours?
That would be throughout the entire calendar year. So roughly, if there's 25 weeks in a school year or 52 weeks in a year, you're looking at working with at least 4 hours of coaching per school week.
Absolutely. And again, if you think about the types of activities that you may be doing in a day, that's why, again, we mentioned that we would love for these coaches to really have as much time in their school day as possible to really be coaching. So in that way, 4 hours should be, almost the kind of the, not the minimum, but should be something that's easy for many coaches to achieve if their schools and their districts are able to support them by freeing up a large amount of their time to, in fact, be focusing on that coaching activity. And I saw a couple of questions come through about, well, a lot of people are working remotely right now, and what should that look like? So coaching can certainly be virtual. In fact, in some instances may have to be virtual for a while. So if you are meeting with your teachers to help them, if you're meeting with them one-on-one to help them adapt their lessons online, to help them plan for what their classrooms would look like next year, and are going to continue to do that type of virtual one-on-one activity, those virtual hours can in fact count towards this as well. Great. I'm starting to see the chat slow down, but please feel free to add anything else that you want us to cover. I will also just note that on the website, which is here, there are a number of other FAQs that are at the bottom. For example, that question about the difference between trainers and coaches is covered there. The answer about the coach certification not having a fee or anything, any cost associated with taking the curriculum or the exam or submitting the application is there. So that's another place that you can go if you want to check out some FAQs as well. All right, I'll wait a minute here to see if there are any other questions coming through. Thanks for the thumbs up, Janet.
Amanda, a question that I'm not sure about. Are we able to share slides with the people who are on the calendar invite?
Yes, we will. As I mentioned, we have recorded this session. Since I had some technical difficulties, we are doing a couple of more of these sessions. So we may wind up publishing the recording from one of the other sessions where hopefully I won't have any more work from home Wi-Fi issues. But after those sessions conclude, which is in about a week, I will email you guys the recording that is made available, as well as these slides. So if you don't see it from us right away, just know it is coming. And again, in the meantime, all of the things that we covered today are there on the website and or covered in the curriculum in great detail. So don't feel like you have to wait for that in order to get started. And I did again see a couple of questions about spreading the word. So again, we did launch on Tuesday, and we would love for you guys who are excited about this to go ahead and tell other educators that you think would be interested in the program about this. So feel free to share these materials as well. All right, it looks like we're starting to wrap up. I haven't seen any new questions come through the chat. So thank you again so much for coming. We really appreciate your enthusiasm and your interest, and we hope to see you in the curriculum and through applications as well. Thanks, everyone.